The last part of my remarks is going to focus on what we're all thinking and talking about. Because, of course, we are very excited about our important work ahead. But we also know that we will be doing it against a global backdrop of tremendous geopolitical conflict and human suffering in our world. We come together in the midst of wars and the suffering that war brings, in the midst of humanitarian crises that place the innocent in peril, in the midst of increasing authoritarian rule and the corresponding restrictions of rights and freedoms, and in the midst of consequential elections being held in our own country and for nearly half of the world's population. And we know that many in our community are experiencing trauma and high levels of personal anxiety, fear, and anger as a result of these events. Yet, against such a tumultuous backdrop, there is hope. The commitment to building a hope-filled future is at the center of our Jesuit roots. There is hope for peace. There is hope for democracy. There is hope for rebuilding. There is hope for opportunity. And there is hope for human kindness and support. And we must keep our hope and the faith that supports it alive. We have to not be driven to despair and keep the faith that supports that hope and that hope alive. And we must keep our Santa Clara community grounded in our Jesuit educational mission and values. And as Matt said earlier, ensure we are genuinely accompanying one another with empathy, understanding, and kindness. First, we have to stay grounded in our educational mission as a university. We are a university. A university is a cherished space for unfettered intellectual inquiry. It is a space that welcomes and is enriched by all perspectives and lived experiences. It is a space where we critically examine, debate, and dialogue across differences. And it is a space where all voices can and should be heard. A university is not a political entity. Thus, it does not take a position on political candidates or political policies unless the policy directly impacts the university's educational mission or our operations. Our university community is purposefully made up of a heterogeneous constituency. Our responsibility is to make room for policies and issues to be debated and not silence any positions. Our special resource at Santa Clara University that we have in doing this is our Jesuit Catholic tradition and the values it brings to authentic, constructive dialogue, and the hope, as Father Bertor so beautifully says in this quote, that any small thing can make a big difference. Pope Francis, in his encyclical Fratelli Tutti, called us to become a culture of encounter. He believes that we best discover the common good when we engage with one another. He sees listening, truly listening, with openness and cherishing of the other, and with a sense of the other's infinite dignity equal to our own, as the foundation for dialogue. Most importantly, he extols the ability to respect the other's point of view and admit that it may actually include some legitimate convictions and concerns. As a Jesuit university, we strive to assume good intentions. We strive to assume good intentions of the other and to give others the space and grace to honestly express themselves. And for all of us to learn from one another, evolve in our thinking, and perhaps grow even closer. And even if we don't come closer together, we hold the other in respect of our shared humanity. And at Santa Clara, this has an even deeper resonance and meaningful possibility and responsibility, because this space, this campus, this community is our home. It is not the public square. It is a home where we personally know one another and where we care for one another with compassion, kindness, and empathy. It is a home where we seek to understand the different perspectives, fears, faiths, and lived experiences of others who share our home, not to change our own views, but to grow in our understanding of those who share our home. So at Santa Clara, we have a unique mandate that gives us a special, even sacred responsibility. We are committed to protecting freedom of speech and expression, as long as it does not harass, intimidate, threaten, or discriminate. For these protections are a bedrock of what it means to be a university. And as a Jesuit Catholic university, we seek to hold ourselves to an even higher standard, striving to express ourselves both openly and freely, and at the same time, upholding our community values of respect, kindness, empathy, and understanding. There will be many events and activities happening this year to help us stay grounded in our educational mission and in our values. This is only a partial listing of some of the campus offerings. These programs represent the work of multiple departments across campus, working alone and in many cases together to create meaningful and impactful programming to support our community during this challenging moment in our time. And you'll be hearing more about these and others.
Universities have to be open places. As President Sullivan has said so well, universities are cherished spaces that hold many different ideas, purposefully so. I agree. The national conversation about freedom of expression is happening in a tremendously challenging moment. The most important principle is that we must have broad tolerance for ideas, even ideas we may not like. There are, in my view, limits to free speech, but the boundaries are way out there, especially at a university. Ideas are currency on a college campus, and we have to cultivate an environment where they aren't suppressed. Now, we can't guarantee that all ideas will be greeted with equal enthusiasm. People are free to express bad or unpopular ideas too, and there is a right for people to respond negatively to them, but that's what you get with free expression. We also have a special responsibility as educators to create programming that allows students and our entire community to articulate their ideas, to learn from each other, and to engage different points of view. President Sullivan has spoken eloquently about how our Jesuit educational mission and values can provide valuable guidance. And our faculty have a very important role to play in making sure we create an appropriate learning environment that is respectful and supportive of the views and beliefs of all of our students. I really like how the law school, the Inclusive Excellence Division, the Division of Mission and Ministry, and various other units around campus are sponsoring community conversations, are bringing in external speakers, are creating events that include students, that involve students. Students shouldn't just be passive observers in these settings, they should be participants. And these events create opportunities for us to model for our students how it can work. I am looking forward to an autumn of engagement with you.